So my name is Emily, and I've been working as a mechanical engineer for about 5 years now. And I like to help others basically improve their resumes as much as possible, focusing on engineering resumes because I feel like there's kind of a lack of sort of resources in that area. I think there's a lot of like general resume help online and stuff like that, but nothing really specific for engineering. So what I do is I basically do these sort of red lines, and then I'll be going through this one today. The guy whose resume it is couldn't make it, but I'm going to do it anyways because I want to give him some feedback either way. So why not? But yeah. If anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt me because I like this being more of a discussion rather than a just like a lecture. So if you have any questions or think something that I'm saying or suggesting doesn't make sense to you, or if you have a disagreement, please let me know and we can talk about it because somebody else probably has the same question. Yeah. I guess I'll get started with this one. And again, don't be afraid to interrupt. This isn't formal or anything like that. So looking at this resume, first thoughts, it's one page, which is great. I'm a big fan of one page. They're graduating in May 2021 here. So I guess they just graduated. And this is going to be their first job, probably. They have DoD secret clearance level at the top, which is huge. If you have a secret clearance level, put it at the top. Don't make it into like a certification section or something like that, because it really does open a lot of doors for you. It probably could be a little more succinct because it does, like, they do have a lot of words, all just saying kind of, hey, you have a secret level clearance. But I'm not going to be picky and edit that bit. I'm going to just leave it the way they have it now. Let's see. Major GPA 3.79, not bad. Not bad at all. That's actually really good, in my opinion. Tau Beta Pi Scholar, I guess I personally don't know what that means. I know it's an engineering frat, but I don't really know what goes into becoming a Tau Beta Pi Scholar. So I may not. That's kind of wishy-washy. I'm going to say let's leave it and kind of go down the line here. Can you do this, Sophie? Thank you. Okay, so all in all, when I'm looking at this resume, all of the bullet points are only one line. I don't know if you guys think that's a bad thing or a good thing. Usually when I see that all of their bullet points are online, it usually communicates to me that they didn't include a lot of details. But we'll see as we go along. All right, so their first position is an engineering intern position, manufacturing, and they created a user manual for a manufacturing process. Which manufacturing process? Using the okay, that's a little confusing to me. So they created a user manual for a manufacturing process. The manufacturing process uses the mill, but I'm still kind of not sure what the user manual was about. So I think clarifying the manufacturing process, unless it's like, if it's proprietary, I don't know if we want to have the proprietary discussion right now, but you have to just use general language to try to describe it as best as you can without actually saying, anything proprietary. But I don't know. I doubt that that's what's going on here. Customized and implemented G-code to operate a mill for 7 unique navigation and communication devices. What do you guys think? What does that tell you?
It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, what does navigation and communication have to do with G-code?
Yeah, so I agree with Les. I was going to say, it sounds like they used a lot of words to say they made 7 parts.
Yeah. And in my mind, at least where in my industry, the people who use G-code are technicians, who are going to be the ones that are actually operating the mills and stuff like that, which is, I guess, good to have experience with, because then it makes you better at communicating with technicians and stuff like that, because you have experience with it. But yeah, I think I agree. When I read that, I hear, oh, I made 7 parts in a mill. I think it would help maybe if they went into more detail about what those devices were, maybe. But oh my God, I'm sorry. But all in all, it's not very helpful and sort of, in my mind, kind of a technician position job. So I wouldn't remove it necessarily. Oh, oops. That's not what I wanted to do. I would move it down though. So I would since it's when I look at resumes, I say you want your most impressive and relevant items at the top. And maybe least impressive at the bottom. So that was that bullet point. Let's move on. Okay, so contributed to PFMEA for manufacturing processes. Again, this is super generic, and I'm not sure what they contributed to it. They just said that they contributed to it. So I'm going to say here, be specific. It's really important to, whenever I see contributed to, assisted with, collaborated with, those all are kind of red flags, because you can be really, it's not very specific at all. It doesn't tell me what you physically did or what you contributed at all, to the project or the, program or whatever. Presented importance of zero downtime to product and process engineers. Again, the zero downtime, I would just take this bullet point out, because obviously, in every process, that's the ideal, right? For all of the machines to be running all the time, because then you have the most output, but that's not realistic. So this bullet point doesn't really make sense to me, because again, it's not something that they really did, I guess. They just talked to people about it. I don't know if maybe they had made a presentation, or if, maybe they did some, I don't know, testing or analysis of their processes. And they found that, hey, we have bad downtime, we have a lot of downtime and we need to cut it back. And so that's why they presented this. Go ahead. Oh, was someone asking a question, or am I getting feedback? Okay, I guess it was feedback. So yeah, that's kind of what I would just kind of remove that, honestly, in my opinion. Okay, another thing is presented a tool control process to the manufacturing engineers community of practice. So I personally don't know what this is. I don't know if that's just because I'm not a manufacturing engineer. It might be that disconnect. I don't know if it's like a consortium or maybe like an event. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Presenting, I guess, that specific company's tool control process. If it's really good, then that's great. But like, I don't know what the like resume person, like the person who wrote this, I don't know like how they contributed to it. Does that make sense?
I think it's probably important to say why they presented it. Like, why does the manufacturing community care about this?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell from this bullet point, right? And maybe they have a really awesome tool control process, and they're like, telling people, hey, this is what we do. You should also do it. But that's more of like on the company rather than on this specific person. Unless this specific person is the one who had significant contributions to the control process, which I don't think. I think because they're an intern. I think they probably were just told to, hey, present what we do to this community. And I think that's what happened. So I don't know if that's necessarily very strong for a bullet point. So it could be like, why do we care? And I'm hoping that this person will watch the video and hear the reasoning behind these comments. All right, let me hide this again. All right. So in general, this intern, for this specific internship, I guess it's good that they have that. I think the first bullet point is probably the most impressive / relevant. I think the PFMAA could be stronger if they added more details. But all in all, I think that the comments that I've put down here make sense to me. Should we move on to the next one?
I'll just say something about that. That internship that he's done there is by far the most impressive part of his whole CV. If I was hiring this person, I would want a lot more detail on what happened here. This is great. It's really, really good experience, and he needs to kind of expand on it. Especially actually that G-code thing, that's really good. I'd love to have engineers with more experience with G-code, so I think that needs to be kind of expanded on.
Oh, okay. So you actually like the fact that that he has experience working with that versus it being relatively more of a technician role?
Yeah, like honestly, like I would hire someone with actual hard machining experience over someone with 2 years of design experience every single time. It's really, really good if you're in that industry. So I think that needs to be more emphasized more.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. I'm not a manufacturing guy or person, so I don't know what you guys look for when you hire manufacturing people. I will say that a lot of the manufacturing resumes I've looked at are a lot more process focused and like lean optimization, that kind of thing. But I definitely agree that having hands-on experience is very important. Does he actually say? Yeah. So in the skills section down at the bottom, he does say that he has he does throw the CNC mill hardware experience at the bottom there. Let's see, expand. I'm glad you're on this call because I'm not a manufacturing person. I'm a design person. So I guess it's good to have another viewpoint for sure. And if you think that's the strongest bit, especially if he's looking for a manufacturing position and not a design position, then definitely keep it at the top and stuff like that, because I haven't looked at the rest, but I'm guessing the rest is like more design stuff. All right. Aerospace medical technician. So he was in the Air Force. But about this specific, I guess he's still doing it. Oh crap. Okay. That's kind of a long time. October 2016 to present. So they trained at a EMT and LPN level for all units of a hospital. Not really sure what all units of a hospital mean. Is that like, emergency operating, that kind of thing? And then they say that the medical training has integrated attention to detail toward performing tasks, which is an indispensable skill in engineering. I feel like that bullet point is kind of like an explanation of, hey, why is this relevant? And I don't know if it's really successful in my mind. I'd rather them keep it short, honestly. What do you think? Do you think that this like stuff is useful to keep on here, or would it make more sense to, maybe cut this first for more explanation and expansion on that manufacturing engineering intern position? I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot.
And I think it's good to show that they're able to hold down a job. Like, it doesn't matter what that job is. Like, they've been holding that for 4 years. That's good. But for God's sake, don't tell the person what's an indispensable skill in engineering. Like, we're reading this resume. We know what's an indispensable skill in engineering.
That's very true. Yeah, I'm going to say strike the bullet point. And honestly, at an intern level, like, they haven't graduated yet. I don't think that it's like a... I don't know if that's like... I don't expect like people who are just graduating now to be able to hold down a job because they're still like young and new. But I understand what you're trying to say.
It just shows that they're a productive member of society, right? They're able to, be normal, right?
If you're focused though on school though, and you don't have a side job, like, that's fine too. I don't think that's a big deal either.
No, you're absolutely right. But if you have the experience, put it there. Why not? Like, even if you got like 5 years in McDonald's, put that right then. That's good.
Although I would say, if you have something better that's more impressive, replace it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so, and then they have like a tutoring job on the side here, from 2018 to 2019. And let's see. Initiated group study sessions that resulted in people learning math. All right. Again, I think the flowery language is probably necessary. You could just be like, hey, I taught math. I think the second bullet point says that again. It's kind of redundant. I would just say take out the first bullet point and just leave it at the second bullet point. The facilitated is a little weird, in my mind, but let's leave it. We can always come back to it later. I want to get to the relevant experience. All right. Relevant experience. Also, formatting. This is really small and probably not important, but keep your formatting the same. They use long dashes versus not. Okay. Hybrid rocket oxidizer tank filling and dynamics. That sounds cool. That sounds cool to me. Research, design, simulate, and test a system that remotely fills an oxidizer tank with nitrous oxide. I don't think nitrous oxide needs to be capitalized. That's really cool. I want to know more about this. I want to know how they did it. I think this person was afraid to go over to 2 lines on their bullet points, so they left everything really, really generic. All right, lead modeling, simulation, analysis of the oxidizer tank filling process in Fluent. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to just suggest they use STAR method for all of these because I don't think they are. If you guys don't know what STAR method is, it's basically a way to get details, you to think about details about what you did. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. The result is, I think, what mostly gets overlooked or people forget to include. So you did X, like, how do I know it was good? You need to say I did X and then that resulted in Y. Basically, I think Google's XYZ approach is pretty similar if you are familiar with that. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm going to keep going though. All right. So basically, I want more details from this. Lead modeling, simulation analysis, and more details there. Like, what were they trying to optimize? What were the requirements for the project? Like, lots of questions. Was it? Did you do any hand calcs to validate stuff? Optimize the oxidizer tank structure and components. Okay, optimize the structure. That's kind of gives me more questions. I don't really understand how they're optimizing the structure or what they're optimizing it for. Are they optimizing it for, to hold as much volume as possible? Are they optimizing it for, fitting it in a specific size container? Are they optimizing flow rates? And they said using post-processing techniques in Fluent. I personally don't have any Fluent experience, but I have used ANSYS before. And I'm kind of confused what they mean by post-processing techniques. If anybody has any idea of what you think that means, let me know. But I kind of want more details about that.
Post-processing is like making the results readable. It's actually quite an art. It's probably the hardest part of using Fluent.
Okay. So do you think that's a legitimate thing to say here? That they use those post-processing techniques in order to optimize the tank structure and components?
I think it's clumsily worded, but it's a good thing to include.
Okay. Because when I think of optimizing something, I don't really think of post-processing. I would think of iterating a design. You know what I mean? Running several different cases or variables and then picking the best one out of that. And yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily post-processing.
It includes post-processing. So, but yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense.
Okay. I'll leave it then. But I do want him to be more specific about what he's trying to optimize about the structure. So what variables was he actually trying to, let's see. Oops. Variables. Components. All right. Utilize MATLAB to calculate steady state velocity into the oxidizer tank and predict fill time. That's good. I know exactly what he's saying. There's definitely no questions there. But again, none of these really have results. Okay, so you calculated the steady state velocity and you predicted the fill time. Was your design good? Did it work? Did it fill in the time that you wanted it to fill? Were you successful? That's kind of the, I guess, bigger picture sort of thing. Did you reach your goals sort of thing?
I'd also kind of like to know why that's interesting. Maybe there's a detail that I missed or something else that should be included here, but frankly, I just don't really see why that's an impressive bullet point.
I think it's a detail. I don't know if it's necessarily meant to be impressive. But I could see how like a fill time could like bottleneck a process. You know what I mean? So that's why it might be important.
Fair enough. And yeah, I don't mean to say these aren't things you wouldn't want to know in real life. I just mean to say that I feel like it's a somewhat trivial calculation most of the time. Maybe there's something I don't know about this particular process that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't really have the sense of scale of like what he's doing here. I don't know. Maybe it's more difficult. Maybe there are a ton of variables that are going into this that we just don't know. Maybe it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. I don't know. That's why I want those details, right?
Are these university assignments?
It might be. I have no idea. All I have is this right in front of me.
Yeah, in general, I'm not a big fan of people putting down university things and saying it's experience. Like, it's not. We all went to uni. We all know what people did there.
Well, I have to say I disagree, especially because a lot of the resumes that I look at are new grads, so they don't have a ton of experience.
Yeah, I'm saying that's fine, but labeling it as experience is, I don't know, I don't like it.
Well, I guess that's the difference between professional experience and relevant experience. I think the relevant experience could be renamed as academic projects. Would that make you feel better?
I think so. It might be an American thing. I see you guys do this a lot more. Like, we would never do this at all. It's just not something that's done here, so it might be region specific.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I see it all the time. It's basically like, oh, we don't really have like obviously their internship. They do have an internship, which is great, but I think in order to fill their resume, they need these projects for sure. But yeah, perhaps regional. All right. But yeah, reading these 4 bullet points for this one project, I still don't really understand like why they did it. You know, that answer might be because it was an assignment, or it could be something different. Like maybe they were on a rocket team and this was their, trying to make their rocket better or something. But in general, I would like to see more details for sure. All right, we want to move on? Almost done. I'm over halfway through. Let's see. Okay, more rocketry. So they designed and developed a converging, diverging nozzle in SolidWorks. Again, they have like what they did, but they don't really say why they did it or, what their goals were or anything like that. Led manufacturing efforts for nozzle and motor tube components with detailed manufacturing instructions. So is this saying, do you think that they wrote manufacturing instructions? Is that what the bullet point is saying for these nozzles and motor tube components? It just seems a little not straight.
I do think it's ambiguous, especially when they say that they led efforts. It doesn't really make it clear what they did at all.
Yeah.
Or who they led.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know if this is a team of like, 2 or, 200 or anything like that. I think giving more details about the project in general would help like context. So more details about project and scope.
Yeah, I think since that project actually involves manufacturing, that's a really good project. I like that a lot. I mean, I'd almost remove the top one and just expand this one more.
I think that depends if they want a manufacturing job or if they want a design job. If they want a design job, then obviously the designing stuff is important too. Because
Well, I mean,
it's not.
there's design in that project. I mean, yeah, yeah, you're right. It does. It depends.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I didn't ask the person what they wanted to do and what sort of jobs they were focusing on. Yeah. So the way I usually suggest people to, like, if you're applying to different jobs and different types of jobs, I say for each like sort of category, like design, analysis, manufacturing, I would make like a separate document for each, and then kind of emphasize the experience you have for each of those categories. So this person could have a manufacturing, geared resume, and then also a design geared resume for those two like different types of positions. But unfortunately, because I don't know which one it is, I don't know which one to tell them to emphasize. Okay, continuing. Conducted FEA in SolidWorks on nozzle design. Why? Why did you do this? Do you think it was going to break, and why? And
I also wonder if that shouldn't be lumped in with the first bullet point, because I feel like that's just a part of designing it.
Well, that's true. I think that's true. However, in my specific industry, we usually have separate analysts who do basically all they do is, structural analysts and thermal analysts. But I agree. We could probably combine these. Okay, gained. And then we also want to know, did it work? Results. Gained over 100 hours of combined machining experience on lathe and mill. Okay. Manufactured nozzle and bulkhead features with tolerances as high as. I'd say keep this in, but combine these two. Yes, high tolerance machining is like, it takes longer, but I don't know if it's like impressive, if you know what I mean.
It could be impressive if it wasn't a CNC, like if that was done with hand lathes and stuff.
Yeah, but then you'd be like, wow, you're really skilled at machining. Like, but are you a good engineer? I don't know. So
again, I think it depends on the job. Like
Yeah.
for me, I love this. I absolutely love this. It's like, I think that needs to be kind of expanded a bit for a manufacturing role.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see how, again, manufacturing engineers having actual experience, like as a manufacturer, is really great. But I guess it just depends on what they want to do. Fine. Okay. Do you think, how do you guys think about this project, the overall Eagle rocketry project? Again, they don't give us a ton of details. They could really expand on stuff. But I'm sensing that's kind of a common thread. All right, let's move on to the ballistics project. Researched material and valve selection for the assembly of a pneumatic power device. I personally don't think researching is a very impressive thing to do, because you just, I don't know, that could be Googling, So I would probably, it seems what they do is they list the bullet points in order of like like chronologically. Like first I researched things, and then I, you know, collected data, and then I performed statistical analysis. While that is okay, I always suggest to put the most relevant and impressive stuff at the top, because it's, you know, we're more likely to read, you know, the first bullet point of every section or the first section, you know, of every item. So starting out strong kind of is my general suggestion. But I can see how people would do it, you know, both ways. But in general, I don't know what to say about this, because I think that for first bullet point is kind of like, let's see about the second one. Collected projectile flight data and calculated correction angles for the projectile to land on target. Okay, so they looked at data and they said, a little bit to the left. And did it work? I don't know. Results? Were your calculations actually right? Did you actually hit your target? Like, I don't know. Perform statistical analysis to compare theoretical flight behavior with experimental results. Okay. I like that it's like a validation sort of thing. Because, you know, in real life, we do experiments and we test things, and then we, you know, do hand calcs or analysis to verify that, or the other way around. We verify our hand calcs with, you know, testing and experiments. But again, I just don't really know. Maybe they're being super generic because it's like a NDA, not supposed to talk about this thing. But I'm guessing it's a class. When was it done? October in 2019. They were in school. It might be a class project. What do you guys think about this one in general? I don't know. I think it's kind of weak, because it doesn't really actually, like, I guess he did a few calculations, but I don't know if this is really like weighty, if it holds any weight.
I think that's probably why it's at the bottom, right?
Yeah, but it's not all the way at the bottom. So let's look all the way at the bottom. All right, look at this gyroscope project. Okay, they created a system that satisfied a need for a 4x4 inch gyroscope. So I'm guessing they had a gyroscope, and they're like, what are we going to do with this? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just, you know, create a system for it. Interesting. What did it do? What did it do? Why? What did it do? Is this during COVID? Let's see, like December 2018. No, it is not during COVID. So I'm guessing this seems like a freshman design project. Usually, you know, you have your freshman design project and your senior design project. I don't know. I don't know if they're just really generic because they didn't do a lot, or if it was like so long ago that they don't remember. But I don't think those are really valid excuses. Results? Okay. Led by delegating team and individual responsibilities. Yeah, I'm just gonna take that out. Utilize SolidWorks to create drawings for tools, parts, and assemblies. Be specific. Like, what parts did he create in SolidWorks? Why? Again, I have no idea what this thing does. I know it has a gyroscope in it, but I don't know why. Gain technical skills. Gain technical skills is not a valid bullet point. That's not an action. That's a result. Ish. That's like putting a bullet point that says, you know, I learned things, in my mind. Okay. So now we know why that one was at the bottom. It's very generic. These two projects right here, I'm just going to say these are just generally very weak. Okay. All right. Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. They're a mentor, so they're not just a member, but they actually are a mentor, so that's good. Okay, what did they do? They provided they helped them schedule their classes. Okay. And they helped them understand academic requirements. I don't know if these are very good bullet points. What do you guys think? I know that some people like leadership and like, communication bullets, but I don't know.
I think this guy has, across the entire CV, done a really good job of showing that he is a leader type person, with some good social skills. Leaving in social bullet points is good. I think he just needs to say there, what academic requirements did he guide these mentees in?
Really? I'm glad to hear I'm glad you're talking up. Thank you, by the way. I'm not just talking to myself. But that's usually what happens. I understand what he's trying to do is saying that, he can successfully take someone and help them out with something, and kind of act as, again, a leader or a mentor. But I don't think that in this specific case, it's very challenging. We know that, honestly, he could have given terrible advice, and we know that, right? He could have given just really, really bad academic requirement advice, and maybe they take all the wrong classes and they're screwed. I don't know. But that's why I think results, I guess, maybe is more important in some areas than others. But I don't know how you would communicate that here. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he could leave it, but maybe I don't know. I'm very wishy-washy. My heart says take it out, but he doesn't have a lot of stuff to put in switching it. So I will leave it for now. Okay. Skill section at the bottom. How do you feel about skill section being at the bottom? Anybody?
I feel like it's usually at the top, and I think that's a good thing to do. My opinion or my reasoning being that, if you're trying to briefly look over a resume, you can just see the skill section. And, like I said, read top from bottom. You can see this person knows SolidWorks, he knows MATLAB, he knows this, that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that they did a good job integrating their software and hardware skills into the actual bullet points. You can just glance over the resume and there's, they integrate MATLAB and SolidWorks in a lot of their bullet points. However, I do agree with you that skills sections are usually more of an at-glance summary of what a person can do and what they have touched, basically. So that's why I usually recommend putting it at the top as well. Because by the time we get down to the skill section here, we've read most of their bullet points, we know that they've, have touched all of those, software and hardware skills. So I'm going to suggest to move it up. Let's look at what they actually have here in their skill section. All right, SolidWorks, MATLAB, Ansys Fluent, Python, LTSpice, G-Code, Minikab, Microsoft Office. Minitab, machining, Machining, manufacturing. Yeah, I think that's fine. Mill shouldn't be capitalized, but other than that, okay. Overall thoughts on resume. Now that we've looked at the whole thing in detail. I know I can't see anybody's names, but I know that British accent guy would hire him.
British. Oh, God damn it.
What are you? I don't know.
Irish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I offended you?
Yes.
I apologize. Americans don't know anything. It's okay. All right. So, what do you think?
I would say, look, an often overlooked aspect of CVs is just the overall impression you get. When you get a CV across your desk, you don't read it like this with a red pen and go through it. You read it in 2 minutes and you throw it in the bin. So when I read this, I see that this guy has really good practical skills and advanced social skills, which is something that I really, really love in interns, because technical skills from interns are generally really weak anyway. I don't think it's really that useful emphasizing technical skills, but saying that this guy has like practical and leadership and social skills is really, really positive to me. There's some weak parts of the CV for sure that could be improved, but I would give this guy an interview, no doubt.
Wow, very good. I would applaud. I have a completely different viewpoint than you do. I think technical skills are very important. I understand that they can be taught, especially, when you hire someone, you're like, oh, you don't know anything. We have to teach you everything, basically. Like college doesn't really matter.
But for me, his technical skills are clear because his GPA is so high. I mean, what else are you really learning from university?
Really? I actually, I don't know about that. I just disagree, I think. That's totally fine. Like, it's good that we both have very different experiences with that. But high GPA usually makes me question mark, because I think that performing in an academic setting is very different than performing in a work setting. If that makes sense.
You're right, but I don't know. Like I've had quite a few interns in my time, and in general, their technical skills are useless. So I don't really think it's. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Like.
You think that interns are useless until you actually teach them things.
Yes, completely, utterly, and pointlessly useless until you teach them stuff.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if that's your experience, I mean, that really sucks for you. But because
it's not their fault. Like that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to see more, if they're a kind of person who's willing and capable of learning fast and working hard. And that's really what I look for in an intern, more than I would look for any kind of specific skills. Unless they did like a final year project, which was relevant to my industry, I probably wouldn't care too much about their technical stuff.
Really? Okay.
Because we all did the same degree, right? Like we all know what it's like to do an engineering degree.
Yeah, that's true. Some people have, done cooler projects and cooler things than others. I think I've seen some very technically strong resumes in my time. But
final year projects, you're right, they're different. And if you did a good final year project, for sure, put that down, expand on it, like talk about it, and talk about what results you got in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It is hard though when I think a lot of the projects here, especially that are listed, are a lot of like maybe smaller projects that they're like, oh crap, I need to fill my resume page. Like, what have I done? Let me just throw this down because I did it in one class, sort of thing. And I think that's fine while you're like fresh, but once you get experience, it needs to, be switched out for something better. And that's the hard part about this, is that I think once you get more experience and you've like actually worked a while, then you have to decide, oh, hey, like what is actually relevant to what I want to do? What is, my next step forward sort of thing? And because all of the experience becomes a little bit more and more relevant as you move through your career.
I actually want to disagree just a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure, go.
Some of these points I absolutely agree. It seems like they're trying to add filler here. But some of them to me kind of resonates to my own early resumes where I'm trying to condense a lot of things that I've done. Like I feel like this person is trying to express a lot of experiences that they've had, but that they're kind of going overboard and trying to fit a bunch of things into one bullet point. They're not saying I made a really cool enclosure and reduced the weight on it and made sure it was structurally sound. They're saying I made dozens of parts. I made a bunch of things. And in doing so, they don't tell us any of the details.
Oh, so you'd rather them be more specific and go into one thing than, gloss over like a bunch of things.
I think it would be good if they were just more specific on a few things. Yeah. For example, the gyroscope project with how vague it is.
It could be something really, really cool, and they just weren't able to communicate it.
It could be really cool. It could also be, like you said, something they did early on as a freshman. I had a project like that I used to have on my resume, and eventually I realized it was vague. I didn't really remember anything significant that I did, and I just took it off. And I think they might want to consider doing the same thing here.
Yeah, so that's what I tried to communicate to them by writing weak on those 2 bullet points. Basically, if they end up expanding more on their manufacturing engineering intern at the top or expanding on their other stronger projects and they start to run out of space on their resume, I'd suggest those 2 to be the first to go because I think they're the weakest. In general, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And it may just come down to what you suggested before, where they just need to separate this out into 2 different resumes, one that's more focused towards design and one that's focused more towards manufacturing. Though, to Laz's point, I've also seen, like on Reddit and such, other people say that even in design roles, they prefer that manufacturing experience. But I think the concept of breaking up your resume into different categories, especially if you're trying to apply to a broad market, say a structural engineer versus a thermal engineer, it might be good to specialize as much as you can with separate documents.
Yeah, I agree. I've actually struggled a little bit with that on my resume because I started as a mechanism design role, and then in the past yearish, I've transitioned to a thermal analysis role. So I still have my mechanism stuff on my resume because I've only had 1 year experience of thermal analyst. So that's just not enough to fill a whole page, really. And it's good to know those processes. But once, if I decide to continue down the thermal design path, the thermal analyst path, then slowly that will be replaced because it just becomes not as relevant and kind of, unnecessary, I think. All right. Are we done? Is everybody happy with this? Do we want to do another? What do we want to do? We want to talk about random shit? Oh, I probably shouldn't curse. This is being recorded.
There is a comment in the large meeting room chat. I don't know if we want to address from Frost.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't reading.
I think it's just the one.
Okay, based on some of our professor, I don't know what developing faculty members' advice, if what you did in your leadership roles does not necessarily, thank you. If what you do in your leadership roles does not necessarily reflect what is needed by the company you are applying for, but you think it's important to let them know that you did leadership, just include the organization, position, and dates. Okay, so I'm guessing that's what you're saying about the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Is that what you're trying to pinpoint there? I'm guessing. Like a kind of a leadership. Okay, yeah. So I think what this person is trying to say is that, hey, I don't know if this necessarily warrants bullet points for the society, the professional society. I think definitely for sure if you're just a member, like, oh, I was a member of like ASME or something like that. But I can see how this person wants to be like, oh, I wasn't just a member, I actually like, help somebody out. Even though that might not have a good, way to communicate it as well, I guess. But yes, I have seen that a lot actually, of just kind of listing it out. But again, it's everybody has their own opinions. Listing out professional organizations, I don't know how much it'll help you. Yeah, like if you're in like a frat and then like somebody else is also in that frat and they're like, oh, hey, we have this in common. Like, yeah, that could be a talking point. But you just have to, I guess it all depends on like, it all comes down to using the space on the page to your best advantage. And if you have something stronger or more relevant, then putting that instead. And it kind of is all just, weighing what you have versus, what you can fit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right, are we done? That was faster than, oh no, it was an hour. It was slightly faster than last time. Any other last minute questions, or do we want to end, or what do we want to do?
I think we're trying to keep the videos down to about an hour long, so maybe this would be a good point to stop, but I don't know if that's really my decision to make. If anyone else wants to chime in on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to, to keep going, but if you want, you can stop recording now, and we can, I don't know, randomly chat. I know that it might be a little late in other parts of the world, though. Up to you guys. Oh gosh, don't leave it up to me.
I'd say end the recording anyway, and then we can, I don't know, just hang out.
All right, sounds good.